Welcome to D-Mop Garage. We are on the 52 Krankenwagen, and in the last episode we started getting little bits and pieces finished off inside here. We're still waiting on the two glass windows here to finish off that. Stretchers are just about to get started, and also we got a couple of little bits and pieces. The carby kit came, so I can show you guys that quickly. And this is what the carburetor kit looks like. It has all the gaskets, the new shaft. It's actually got new bushes, so we don't actually have to do any reaming, even though I do have the special reamer here. The new kit comes with these little brass bushes, which we are just going to basically drill to the right depth, press those in, and then they run on top of these here, like so. And we're going to get a nice perfect seal where we're not getting air leaks and all the rest of it. So we'll finish this off today and get this back into the motor. We do have the new coil, as you can see here. So there we go, that's the new coil in there. We'll be able to get this sucker fired back up again and continue on with the build, get onto these stretchers. So hope everyone had a great Christmas and New Year's. It's back to it now for this build. We want to get it out of here, start driving it and doing some emergency freeway drifts. No, only joking. All right, so on with the build. Let's get this carby kit cleaned up and put back together and get the carby back into the bus. Okay guys, it's a couple of days later. I have short hair and it's back to winter. It's like bloody, we had probably 30 mil of rain today. Absolutely insane. I'm still waiting. I've got to go up to Rick's up at Vogs Recycle, and we're going to get one of the glass ambulance pieces that he has, and the other one, we've got a plain piece. We're just going to have to get it covered in this film if we can get it. We'll see how we go. In other news, I got COVID as well, so I've been sort of taking it on the lowdown for the last 3 days. It hasn't really hit me too hard, but I just figured I didn't want to be out here in the cold. But we did have some success with that box that you guys would have seen this thing before, and that's the cover. Now, I couldn't really find much info. A couple of subscribers did send me some documentation, a couple of different ones, but it kind of threw me in weird directions because one was slightly different to the other. So what I ended up doing is pulling it apart completely, and I tested the two relays first, just on the bench with the voltmeter, and they both work perfectly. So I put them back in. Then I pulled apart this motor, and of course I found inside what was positive, what was negative, and sorted that out. You wouldn't believe it. The negative wire is the yellow wire, and obviously the red is the positive. So I put it back on. You can see here my little ghetto setup here. I've put the negative onto the negative terminal, which is running to the relays and then running to the motor. And then, of course, if I put the positive onto here, we're going to do a little test. Right. Here we go. So now we've got positive here, and positive is obviously the red. Now listen to this. So you can see that thing is working. Now, how I ascertained what's coming back out of it is from the motor. You've got three wires coming out, going to, there's one here which is bridge, the green one. And then you've got the two blacks. Now, what I did then was I hooked up the light. Let's see if we can try and do this all one-handed here. So if I pop that into there, just try and lock her in. Hang on. Okay, it should work. Righto. Now watch this. And there you go. So that is telling me that we have our signal coming back out of the unit, and of course that is going to be the horns. The light doesn't come out of this box at all. At least it's working. I'm stoked. That's one more part that we can tick off, and I can start just doing a little bit more testing with it. I might even just hook it up here on the bench with some horns and see what happens. So yeah, let's keep going with that. Okay, after a bit more stuffing around, I've worked out I just used two test lights running them off each of the green and the black, and of course they alternate back and forth. So we're done now. One horn goes here, one horn goes there, and that's going to be your alternating. You just need two horns that are slightly different pitch. Now, that's the original setup which is on here. So I have seen some other ambulances with another one of those mounted there, but I'm pretty sure they didn't come like that from the factory. Maybe in the later buses, someone might be able to correct me. But I've got the other horn underneath, which is mounted up underneath there. So that'll be our alternation between the two. We're ready to rock and roll in terms of hooking all this up. So one more part done. Let's continue on. Righto guys, so it's the next day. I've been up to Vogs Recycle, went up and saw Rick, and we have one of the pieces of glass. Unfortunately, he didn't have any for the permanent windows, only the pop-out, so at least we can get this one in. I'm still going to have to work out what I'm going to do about that window. I've still got a couple of just factory glass that is clear, and I might just take one of these broken windows, which I've got up here somewhere. Might take it to a glazier and just see if they can match that effect. That's probably the best thing I can do, unless anyone knows of an ambulance glass they want to send me, but it's not something you really want to get sent in the mail, especially from overseas. So anyway, we got to get this old frame off and get the rubber off, and then transfer that to the new frame and get it installed in the bus. So let's try and get all this rubber off. It's going to be really difficult because it's old. Just putting this seal, outside seal on, or the way I normally do it, just use a little screwdriver, pop one edge in like so, and then just pop it in on the front side with a screwdriver like that. Pops it in pretty easily. Just keep following it around. Too big. Yeah, miles too big. What's going on here? Something's happened. Okay. I've probably been stretching it as I've been putting it in, maybe? I don't know. We'll try something different. We're going to just pop this in here. Or is it for a different sort of window? I don't think so. I just needed a bit of moving around. There's a little bit on the wrinkly side, that's for sure. That's all right. It's going to be shut. That'll all gather. Okay, let's go and put her in. And there we have it. This one is in. Came up pretty cool. And also we've put the little jail bars on that window too. So we've got one more to go, which is this one here. Yeah, I don't know. I've got some glass. I might even have a bit of an experiment. I think I've got a couple of sheets for those sections, and I might see if I can just sandblast. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Either that or I'll go and get some film for it, just to finish off that window there. All right, let's continue. It is yet another day. I successfully sandblasted one of these extra pieces of glass that I had. Check that out. Bloody came up perfect. I just used very fine glass bead in the sandblaster, taped it all up, but you can see, I'll try and hold it one-handed here, that is going to work just nice once I put them all in, and it's got a very nice opaqueness to it. So yeah, we could get that one put into the bus. Let's do it.
A few moments later.
We're going to start on the stretchers, and I've basically got 4 rods that have a very slight bend in them, you can see. Now these are going to be the axles that are going to hold the wheels, and again, I've got to do this all just from photos. I'll put a couple of photos up just so you guys get an idea of what the hell I'm trying to make. These are the closest wheels I could get, which I've just got from a local hardware store. Now they have a bearing inside them, and then this is a collar which runs inside like that. Now what I've worked out, I can get a bolt, run the bolt in like that. I mean, they were very basic, the actual, you know, they're just going to run like that, and they had a washer and a split pin going through them, and that's pretty much how the originals were. What I've got to do though is work out dimensions, and obviously off the rails, if I show you inside the bus here, let's open these doors, what we've got to play with here is, we know that the wheels have to run in these slots, so that's giving me that measurement. So I know that that axle has to run inside there with 2 wheels. So that's how I'm going to start it. I'm going to basically build the 2 axles, front and back. I know that one has to go here and the other one has to go down there to that stopper. So that's going to give me the length of the stretcher. So I can work that out, and then we can start cutting the rods that are going to run across. Yeah, look, there's going to be a lot of scratching heads and, yeah, trying to get this thing to work. So. Okay, so here we go. This is the first one that I've built. You can see I've just got a couple of split pin. This is as good as I can get to the original pictures. So what's going to happen, that's obviously going to live in there like so. And that's going to be one side of the stretcher. I've got to build another 3 of these, but from what I can gather, that is our first section built. Now we'll go and build some more. Matt dropped in last night with our little headrest, so that sucker's mounted, which is good. And have I got a funny story for you guys? So as you guys remembered, I got the control box for the horns built, which is down there ready to go, and it was all working, so I figured I'll hook it up to the horns just to, you know, get some sound happening. And the bottom horn works. This horn here was not working, and I was like, okay, you know, I went through it before, I'll pull it apart. And I looked inside, looked pretty good to me. Now there's a contact point inside, and from what I read, that contact point just builds up, you know, burnt sedimenty crap, whatever, and they stop working. So I'm thinking, okay, no worries, I'll you know, clean out the contact point and go from there. So undid the top screw, and the thing just goes bang, and parts just fly everywhere, and I'm like, oh no. And there's a couple of spring steel sections that are holding a condenser, and then there's all these little fiber washers in, and I'm looking at it going, I don't know what position everything goes. And I'm like, no. So anyway, I put it all back together and it didn't work. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I went and checked out the part number, which is, you can see on here, this part number here. And I thought, well, look, it's not working. I'll probably just go and buy another horn. I mean, I could stuff around with it for ages, and, you know, I don't know, $900 for one of these horns. So I was like, okay, I'm now fixing it. So I had another crack at it, couldn't get it to go, started to stress out. And then I find this YouTube page in Indonesia, and the little Indonesian man has one of those horns and no subtitles, no nothing. So I'm just sitting here going, okay. And I turned it up and all I could hear was him just going, you know, and my wife's in the house and she's like, what are you watching? What, are you learning another language? And I'm like, no, I'm just trying to watch this guy put this horn together. And it was the funniest thing ever. So I've got this thing, I'm concentrating on the screen. And anyway, I had the position of a couple of things incorrect, and once I cleaned the contact points, got it all in, it's working. So I can give you a quick test right now. All right, I'll just put these terminals together and you guys can have a listen. 3, 2, 1. So there you go. It does work. I'm stoked. Everything's ready to go. But just a really funny story. But it goes to show, you know, you can find anything on YouTube. If you can't work something out, Google it on YouTube and just, you'll never know, you might find. I thank this guy. I just said, mate, you've saved me, because, you know, I couldn't find any other literature on how to, you know, build these contact points and put them all together. I do have a couple of other horns now that I can play around with that are not working and get it to go. But yeah, very funny story. So yep, we'll continue. There's a couple of other axles down here. These ones here are ready just to get sorted, and we'll continue with the stretcher build. Let's go. Righto guys, so what we've got to do with these axles to get them to basically sit where they've got to go, I've got this little bend in them, and then unfortunately, well, I don't have a lathe. I wish I did have one. I could turn this down to get the right size little internal bush you got on this, but I just use the grinder and go around it and then run it around the linisher until it fits on, and then we're good to go. So this is how the actual thing comes apart. You can see I've just got that little collar which runs inside the wheel itself, and like that, and then we put our little spacer on, and then the split pen, and then we're good to go. Anyway, there's a lot more stuffing around to do. I think it is getting super hot. It's like 30 degrees Celsius and I'm going surfing. I think I've had enough for today. I'll catch you in another episode, and yeah, we'll continue on these stretcher builds and go from there. All right guys, we'll catch you in the next video.